What's up, Copy Squad? It's your boy Kyle Milligan coming to you live from Boca Raton, Florida, and today I want to talk about the order of copywriting. Basically, how do you go from where do you start? What's the copywriting process? The order of the process to go from nothing to, okay, I have what I need to write a promo. And a lot of this kind of comes from this book I read called Ready, Fire, Aim, 0 to 100 Million in No Time Flat by Michael Masterson. So parts of this are going to come from my personal experience and that book. And basically the reason I decided to do this video today was because as a copywriter, let me explain something. As a copywriter, sometimes you'll be tasked. You'll have the chore of essentially creating the product for your client or whoever you're writing. And let me explain what I mean by creating the product for them. You're just supposed to be writing the marketing material, right? You're just supposed to be, promoting it or writing something salesy that'll make people want to buy the product, yes? Well, sometimes yes and sometimes no. Sometimes you'll have a product where there isn't necessarily a USP, a unique selling proposition. Well, there's always a USP. You got to find it and dig it up. And a lot of times, or sometimes, there could be someone trying to get you to sell something that is just like a bunch of stuff. And as a copywriter, you're sitting there looking at well, why would anyone pay for this? And that's like the question that you have to solve. And once you solve it, you have to turn it into a promotion, sales letter, email sequence, whatever you want to do. I realize that I've been involved in those conversations, but I never really thought of it. Sometimes, I might gripe or something and just be like, man, I got to do everything, right? As a copywriter, you kind of do, because you got to help in this product creation, you got to help in the writing the promo, and you got to help in marketing that promo, and you got to understand the whole thing of it. So being a copywriter, another reason it pays so well is because you have to have a bunch of skill sets. So let me kind of explain what I mean by that. Sometimes when you're looking at a product, you have to kind of find and isolate some weird, super deep USP thing, or you have to kind of create the USP. And you can do that by kind of looking at, say, and financial is really easy. Like, what's the options trading service, right? So an options trading service is it's like trading stocks, but options are like higher leverage, more sophisticated instruments, right? And so it's just, let's say, stock picking service. So one stock picking service, you're picking stocks, and you can say, yeah, well, we're different because we pick in this market. Or, yeah, we're different because of this or this or this. But it's all kind of like the same thing. We have to get more creative with it in a sea of other stock picking services. So as a copywriter, you kind of have to create some sort of unique element sometimes where you might say, yeah, well, what if we only trade at 9:51 a.m. because of a unique window that opens in the markets or something like that. So that's creating a USP, and then the client or the product maker or whatever, he might have to kind of conform, like mend the product or mold it to that sort of copywriting strategy where you can make it unique. So what's really important is in order to get someone to whip out their wallet and pay for something, you've got to start with the USP. And the USP will lead to the big idea and the big promise and the sales process, your promotion or email sequence or whatever it is. So what I'd like to do is kind of go over this with you a little bit. So this is the kind of stuff that I would help you with if you were a member of the Copy Squad Inner Circle, which I should have pitched. It's up there in the right-hand corner, copywriter.com/squad. But this is kind of stuff we would go into one-on-one. So here's kind of the process you want to know. It's USP, unique selling proposition. You figure out what your product has or can offer that is unique. And it should be kind of based around some sort of result or something that you can produce, right? And that's going to lead you to your big idea. And that's going to lead you to your big promise. And that's going to lead you to your sales, let's just say promotion, right? Whatever your marketing thing is, however you're going to run that. Okay, so let's start with USP. The USP, and I'll kind of speak a little bit about how this would relate to me. So for instance, let's talk about Take Their Money and talk about its USP. So Take Their Money is my copywriting book. There are tons, dozens, probably bazillions of copywriting books out there in the market. So why would anyone buy my copywriting book? What is it about me that's different? Well, I actually talk about, I don't just talk about what to write. That's the thing. I'm not a fan of that. It's not a marketing gimmick. I'm actually not a fan, not what to write, okay? So in a way, that's my start, but let's talk about as a USP, you'd say something like, I'm the only guy targeting emotions. I don't start with the words, I start with the emotions, right? My USP, or the USP for Take Their Money or for Kyle Milligan, however you want to put it. I'm the only dude targeting emotion specifically. Like, how many times have you seen a fill in the blank sales promotion? Like, I will teach you to write better by just follow these templates or follow this formula or follow. No, I'm saying, dude, just target these emotions. So it's a completely different sort of angle. So when we're talking about what emotions to target, well, the way we do that is through communicating with emotions, not writing, right? So the big idea comes out as copywriting is a language, right? I've kind of based my whole thing around that. It's not a how-to, it's a language. You speak it. It's not a how-to, copywriting is a language. That's kind of my big idea. And it started with this fact that I'm saying we need to communicate to emotions, not sit and piddle down about what we should write or what blanks we need to fill in. We need to think about the customer's emotions, their emotional state, and how we can trigger those things. And I picked 4. There's 4 specific emotions you've got to get down with. New, easy, safe, and big. Wrote a whole book about that. So my big idea is copywriting is a language, all right? So what's the big promise? So we know I'm the only dude targeting the emotions, so my big idea is, well, what if we talk about it as a language instead of a how-to? So the language of copywriting is sort of like the big idea, right? So how do we turn that into a promise? Well, it's simple. So for emotions equals speak copywriting, okay? So that's like my big promise. If you understood just these 4 emotions, very simple. If you understand just these 4 simple emotions, then you can speak the language of copywriting, right? You don't have to memorize formulas, templates, how-tos. You don't do any of that stuff. Just figure out, just understand, just comprehend these 4 emotions, new, easy, safe, and big, and then you can just speak copy. You don't have to, like, things will just, like, the floodgates of money will just open up and you'll be in paradise. Like, it'll just be like heaven's doors flew open for you, okay? All right, so then from there, now you can begin the sales promotion. Basically, I couldn't just sit down and write a sales promotion, right? It had to kind of come through like this journey of like discovery from like, okay, well, what makes me different? The USP. That's like your first and foremost, because we've talked about this, the new emotion, right? New, easy, safe, and big. The new emotion is you have to be different. If you're not different, there is no reason to pay attention to you because you're solving a problem that has probably been attempted to be solved before. So if you can't establish that you're new, then that's it. You're dead in the water right out of the gate. So that's why new is number 1 in the big 4 emotions. So the first thing I had to do is, well, what's different about me? Well, I can make copywriting really simple. I think that I'm really good at explaining things. I've got all this experience from working at Agora Financial. I've worked with some of the best marketers in the world. I've got world-class mentorship and that kind of stuff. I also started off with 0 copywriting experience, was able to produce $7.1 million in sales with this strategy. So those are all kind of like facts, right? I just list all the facts. Like, this is a features benefits thing. Okay, well, of all those things, like what's like the most like unique thing that I do? Well, if you've watched me mark up the promotions, I say, okay, well, he's targeting this emotion, he's targeting this emotion, targeting this emotion. So when I'm marking up sales letters, I'm looking for that. I'm reading between the lines. I'm like, oh, I'm the only dude really doing that I've noticed. Everyone else kind of just explains like what's happening and how to. I'm the only one saying target this emotion. So, okay, I'm gonna take that because it's like the only thing that I see that's really different. All right, and now I have to turn that into some sort of big idea. Well, the big idea, I say it's not what you say, it's what you communicate. I'm like almost anti-template, anti-how-to, anti-do this, do that. I'm more about communication and just making sure you nail those emotions, right? So, okay, well, what is communication? So from the USP that I'm targeting emotions to communicate, we come up with this big idea that, oh, well, copywriting is the secret language of sales. It's the secret language, and this is, if you go to copywriter.com/book, that's my sales letter. It's completely based on this big idea. Well, what's the big promise? Once you master the secret language of sales, like the big promise is embedded in my big idea. Copywriting is a language. Speak the language, you can speak copy. And we all know if you speak copy, you make millions and billions of dollars, okay? So that's what led to the sales letter itself. So this is kind of like the process. People always wonder, like, where do I start? What do I do? Et cetera, et cetera. But I've been doing this without realizing I'm doing it for all sorts of work. And a lot of times when you're working with someone, you have to put in more work than just sit down and write the sales promotion. You might have to craft a USP. You might have to, if you can't dig one out, you might have to ask them to kind of tweak what they're doing, their product or service or something, and or again, if it's a physical product, you might just dig it out and just find something like, I'll tell you the story about the fire alarm. I think it was Joseph Sugarman wrote a piece of copy about a fire alarm, said we use gold-plated conductors for like maximum efficiency, and the guy said, but every one of the fire alarms in the world use gold-plated conductors, and Joe Sugarman says, no, nobody talks about it. So that is your USP now, okay? So once you dig that out, then you can kind of come up with this big idea, which can lead to some sort of promise, which has to be based in some sort of result. And then that lends itself to eventually becoming a sales promotion. I think, yeah, if you want one-on-one feedback, Copy Squad Inner Circle is the place to do it. I would love to help you out with pretty much anything from start to finish of creating a sales promotion. I have written a lot of sales letters. I've read a lot of sales copy. I've got trainings in there. I've got sales letter breakdowns, and you can get access to me. That's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you for stopping by. Peace out. Copy Squad.